Okay, so horizontal analysis. Um, Before we get into the mechanics of it, let's just think about it a little bit. Here you've got an income statement, and you've got a company's results for, 12/31/20, and you've got 12/31/19. Now, what you want to know is, gee, how's the company doing? And you could say, oh, look, they had net income of 63 here and 84. They must be doing great. Yeah, and it looks like their sales went up and their net income went up, and that all looks pretty cool. But when you convert these numbers, the raw numbers to percentages, the information can all of a sudden become a lot more easy to analyze, and it gets a lot more useful. So there's a couple of ways to compute when you're doing horizontal analysis. The base year is always the earliest year. So in this case, this would be the base year. If you have a lot of times you'll have financial statements with 5 years or 3 years. It's always the earliest year is the base year. And that's the year that's always going to be on the bottom of the equation. Okay? So you would not go, if you had 2021 here, you would not go 2021, 2020, you'd go 2020, and you'd compare it to the base, you'd compare this year to the base, you're comparing every year to the base year. Okay, so if we're going to do the calculations, let's just do the first one. Current year minus the base year divided by the base year, and this is how you get the percent change. So current year minus the base year, you get the change of 150,000. Okay, so that's the top part, and then you divide that by the base year, which is, so you go 150 divided by the 600,000, and you get, bear with me a moment here, 25%. So you can state that as 0.25, or you can go, 25%. I'm just going to use the decimal because that's how I think a little bit better. If you were using it, the second formula, you would simply be going the current year, which would be 750, divided by the base year, which is 600. And when you divide that out, you would get 1.25. And so these are just two different ways of approaching it. You get the results are really the same. Here you would say net sales increased 25% from 2019 to 2020. Here you would say 2020 sales were 125% of what they were the year before, or from the base year. Okay? I tend to do it this way just because that's how I think about it. But if you see it that way, that's all that's going on. Okay? Okay, so let's do the next one. Cost of goods sold. The current year minus the base year would give us 75,000. Okay, and that would be, when we do 75 divided by 390, you'd get 19. And I'm just gonna, this is also, is that 75,000 as well? Oh, it is, it comes out the same. Okay, and then it's 36. And so when we go down, we're just doing the percent change, the actual changes here, and then we do the percent change. So we want 39 divided by 66. We're doing the 6,000 divided by 54, the 9,000 divided by 27. And then, okay, we continue on, let's see, so 54,000 change, $21,000 change, and 37 and 33, okay. Now comes the tricky part. It's like, okay, so what's going on here? With the percentages, we might be able to get a little better idea. We can say net sales increased by 25%. So that's pretty good, but gee, cost of goods sold only went up 19%, so our gross profit increased 36% when we only had an increase in net sales of 25. Well, gee, that's pretty cool. Okay, so let's go down further. Oh, selling expenses increased 59%. Okay, so our gross profit went up 36, our net sales went up 25%, but our selling expense, that's something we might want to look into. It's like, okay, so was there a party in the sales department? What's going on there? We had a 36% increase in gross profit, but only an 11% increase in administrative expense. So that's interesting. And then the income tax expense would be, that kind of isn't too far off there. So our total expenses went up 0.37, gross profit went up 36, and our net income was an increase of 0.33. So we can look at these, and those kind of line up. And so the only thing really out of line here is this sales department. What was going on? And so you can see if you just looked at, the raw data, it would be very hard to know that there might have been a party in the sales department. And so if you're running a business, or if you're analyzing a company to see, how they're running the business, using these percentages can be very helpful. So this is how we do the horizontal, and horizontal, we're obviously going across, okay? And so if we wanted to, we could do, if we had more years here, you would end up to sort of see how the percentages run over the years as well. Okay, so the next thing we'll look at will be a horizontal analysis, but we'll take a look at the balance sheet.